Hello, filmmakers, and welcome to the Wedding Film School AMA show, hosted by Jason McCutcheon and myself, Jared Haskell. This is the show where we answer your questions, directly diving into the creative, business, and personal aspects of running a successful wedding film brand. If you have a submission, feel free to connect at www.weddingfilm.school/AMA. Hey everybody, welcome to the Wedding Film School show AMA. This is the very first maiden voyage, I would say, of Wedding Film School AMA, where we are diving into questions that listeners of the Wedding Film School show will ask us. It's a little bit different around here. If you've listened to the Wedding Film School show for any period of time, this is going to be a different type of show, a different format, I would say. If you're new to the show, make sure you go back and you listen to all of our old episodes where we kind of do a longer format, more discussion on very specific topics. This is a show where listeners of the podcast can write in to us and have Jason and myself ask or answer your questions. And if you want to ask your own questions, make sure you go to weddingfilm.school/AMA. That's where you can ask all of your questions. We have a couple questions that I think are really great ones today. But before we dive in, I want to introduce my co-host, business partner, friend, etc., Jason McCutcheon. What's up, Jay?
If you don't know, by the way, if you're new to the show and you're listening to us, we are both wedding filmmakers. So if you're wondering why the heck would I ever want to submit a question to these guys, we're wedding filmmakers. We've been doing this for over 12 years. So it was like, I don't know, probably over 30 years of just filmmaking experience between the two of us. And we've grown our business from nothing to over $1 million in sales. And we just love wedding filmmaking. It's our passion. We get to work in the upper end luxury market, and we build teams, and we do destination, and we're all things wedding filmmaking. And so we're excited to share that expertise with people, and we hope we can help some people out. So I guess my question to you, Jared, is what do we got going today? What are our questions? What are you going to talk about?
So a couple really great questions that were emailed in. I guess we'll just dive right in.
Let's do it.
They're a little bit all over the place today. First person who reached out is Daniel L. He says, a lot of clients ask me about raw footage this year. I've heard on the Wedding Film School show that you all deliver raw footage as a part of all packages. Is there a reason you do this as opposed to selling it off an a la carte menu? Thanks.
So I'll answer my answer, but this is definitely, I think, more of a Jared question because Jared handles a lot of our sales, and I'm more other stuff.
Yeah.
In the studio, but
I'm excited about this one because we probably have a little bit of a difference of opinion. So,
well, I think the thing is, so if you don't know, we operate 3 brands, right? And they're 3 different market prices, like probably like $2,800, probably like $6,500, and then like a $12,000 kind of product. And I feel differently about raw footage in each level.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing I'll say, no matter where you are at in your feelings on this, I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all answer. It's really dependent on your brand and what you're trying to do. And I think that's always important to keep in mind. Like, best practices are usually just a guide. And,
right.
like, what works doesn't work in every single situation. So, all that being said, why we made the choice we made was really, like, you got to keep in mind we've been doing this a long time. And when we first started doing raw footage, nobody was doing it as a la carte. We were the only people doing it.
In general.
Yeah. So we did it in our area before anyone did it. So that's probably the number one reason why we do it the way we did it is because we just did it first.
It was pretty novel. Yep.
And we knew that clients, because we've worked in the photography space, like clients want it. And we knew it was a value add, but there's no labor cost associated with it, or very little labor cost. And so we're like, what can we do that will close more deals? And this is what I'd want people to consider is like, are you really leaving money on the table by not charging it a la carte? Because in some cases, you might not be. You might be leaving money on the table by not having another benefit to buying your primary package. And that was what we considered. Is like, well, locally, like if we add this value and this other guy doesn't have it, they're going to be more likely to choose us.
Yeah.
And it worked. Clients would choose us because like, oh, nobody's offering that, and they would choose it. Now, I think over time, as the industry has started charging for it, I think, like for instance, Huxley Film, our boutique brand, we do not offer it for free. And if they don't buy it, we don't deliver it. So we probably won't deliver raw footage unless they pay for it with Merriment Film. And maybe in the future, I'm not. Are we still doing it with Stop Go Love right now?
Yeah. So the way that we're structured currently, we do include it complimentary as a part of Merriment Films and as a part of Stop Go Love, not as a part of Huxley. And Huxley Film, it's a lot of money for people to buy it. Like you said, exactly what you said. For a lot of different reasons, the thing that we're actually changing is no raw footage for Merriment Films. We're actually changing our model a little bit to actually add it as an a la carte menu item for a couple different reasons. But it just works. People that are, willing to spend will. I find, after doing this for a long period of time, I think what you're going to find is a lot of people don't care about it at all. A lot of people care about it a lot. So the people that really care about it, you're right. When we first started offering raw footage, I think it allows us to just add it as a sweetener and close the deal up front. And, if someone's looking at us versus someone else, similar price tier, similar deliverables, et cetera, but they don't offer raw footage and we do as a complimentary item, they're going to go with us. So we've always kind of offered it as an incentive.
And it's not like it takes you 8 hours, like an additional edit or something. It takes you 5 seconds.
And this is going to be different for everyone, but we've always stored all of our footage on Google Drive. So if it's just a matter of me sending them the same exact link that they can only download, they can't edit or delete it or something, it was easy for us to just send a link. Now, that's changing, right? You've had quite the journey of figuring out our storage solution after Google Drive screwed all of us in the industry.
Very expensive. You don't want to be where I've been.
Right. And that's changing right now. There's a lot of different ways that people can store it. They can store it on ASW. They can store it on, local drive.
Jared.
That's how much I know about it. And actually, somebody messaged me about they were actually putting all their archive on tape.
That's actually might be a way to save money.
Yeah, that's a way that you can save money and maybe something that people are willing to do. So, there's a lot of options out there now, but bottom line, I don't think we're going to be able to do it the way that we have done it in the past. Like you said, things are always changing. So I think you have to do what's right for you. I think it is something that if you offer it as an incentive, you'll win some jobs up front compared to some other people that won't.
Yeah, isn't the greater question, I think, that people should be asking is like, because he said, why did you choose to do that? Why are you including it in everything and not making money?
Right.
That's really what he's saying.
Right.
And it's like, at the time, I don't think there was any money to be had. Like, I think if we would have put a price tag on it, they wouldn't have bought it.
Totally.
I think that is different now. And so I think you have to ask yourself, anytime you're adding a sweetener to a package, which I think more people should do to win bids.
Yeah.
Try to make it something that takes no time or money.
Totally.
And if you have something that takes you almost no time and almost no money, and the person places a value on it, it actually benefits you. Like if everyone's charging $2,000 for raw footage and they're like, yeah, I'm getting this free $2,000. That's kind of the viewpoint. Like, oh, this is easy money. Well, yeah, but also they're putting a value on it. So if you give it away for free, that client sees it as saving $2,000.
Right.
And that's actually can be used against people who are charging $2,000. Mm-hmm. And so I'm leery about it because I know like people are like, I charge a lot of money for that. And it's like, what if I competed against you on the same bid? Mm-hmm. And I said, and I look at your a la carte menu and I see that you're charging $2,000 and I literally just change it and go, I'll do it for free.
Right.
You could be offended at that. You can think that's dirty pool, whatever you want to do. Anyone can do that to you.
All sales is manipulation, right? You're manipulating your client into thinking this thing is worth $2,000 because of why? Because you're just charging $2,000.
Because someone else is usually.
Someone else, yeah, right. And so, I like those incentives of like, hey, I'll just throw this in for free. I love the edits that take us like literally 15 minutes to do. You know,
Like a toast or
like
something?
a toast,
Yeah.
and then you're charging a lot for it. If you're outsourcing, you can, charge $25 to have someone edit that, and you could charge $500 potentially for it. Like, I like those things that are just super profitable as all.
Well, people think like this is what I want to encourage people to do. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to do in pricing. Should you charge? Should you do it for free? I don't know your situation.
Yep.
Anyone who tells you exactly what to do with this, they're not mature enough or they don't have enough experience to know that throughout the country and world, everything is different.
Yep.
But the number one thing with anything like that is always like, don't just think about the money you're not making by not selling it. Think about when you're giving it away for free, the amount of deals you're not closing. Because you're leaving money on the table, maybe not by giving it away for free. Like if you gave it away for free, maybe you would actually make more money because you close more deals. And that's really the question you have to ask yourself is, am I making more money by not including it, or am I making more money by including it? With Huxley Film, I know I'm making more money by including it. And that's why we made the choice, because those clients don't care about raw footage. And if they do, they'll pay for it because they have the money.
Yeah.
The other clients with Merriment Films, quite frankly, are not paying enough money for me to provide that service. And if they want it, they should pay extra. Stop Go Love is in a weird spot right now. We might change it in the future, but they're paying a pretty good amount of money. And, we want to have a higher level of service. That's why we haven't removed it there.
Personally, I still get people tell me, and you can feel whatever way you do feel about it, but people with Stop Go Love, which our average sale is $6,500, $7,000, that they went with us because we just included raw footage. Like, I still win bids over that. It might not be as much as when we were, priced, at half of what we're charging
No, and we
now.
reserve the right to change our mind.
Yeah, and we'll change our mind, and I'm always trying to change things to make our company better and increase sales and just make more money. That's what it's all about. So yeah, exactly. We reserve the right to change our minds, but right now, certain things are working better than others in certain tiers. So
it's all about listening, right? Like if you don't know your audience and you don't know what they find compelling, that's the whole point, is give someone something that they actually want and then understand, okay, are they willing to pay for it or not?
Yep.
And that's pretty much it. So that's why we made the decision. I'm not telling other people what to do, but hopefully that was at least a little helpful into helping people decide how to handle raw footage.
Yep.
I do think everyone should be willing to do it, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be precious about it.
Right. And there's some people that won't even charge for it, right? And I would say that why not? I don't understand why you want it.
Why would you be willing to charge?
Why you wouldn't be willing to charge for it in 2024? Maybe someone can write in, tell us.
Well, I'll tell you this, with the high-end luxury stuff, I've had a lot of planners say, don't give them raw footage.
Why is that?
Because they don't want people to hear them saying certain things.
Right.
They're worried about client. Like at the higher level, it's much more a little more tense in terms of dealing with that stuff. It's not like buddy.
Yeah.
So I think there's more at stake, and they want more control.
Yeah.
On the image and what the client sees.
We haven't gotten in trouble with that yet.
I have
surprised.
twice.
Really?
Yeah.
With a planner?
Yeah.
Oh, with planners.
With planners.
Not with one of our shooters.
No, and
talking
they're not
shit
mad.
about.
Yeah, they're not.
couple.
No, they're not
Yeah.
mad or whatever. They're just worried.
Right.
Oh, this thing. So it's
Yeah.
I do think that's the other side of it. Is don't forget that when you give raw footage, if you're working with wedding planners, make sure they know that when they're selling that, because that some of them are, have said to me don't offer raw footage, please.
Yeah.
So
Fair. All right, next question. It is from Cassidy. She says, looking to level up my wedding film company in 2024, as I've now been a full-time filmmaker for 3 years, and it seems like I've hit the dreaded pricing gap. How would you recommend I create organic relationship with planners? I've sent out a couple of cold emails to ones who I relate to style-wise, but I haven't heard back. I think my work is good, but now I'm questioning everything. Thanks, guys.
So without seeing her work, Jared, I'm curious, because obviously just to put it out there, we don't talk about work a lot of times because to us it's a given that your work is good. Any answer we give, that's any tip, the first tip is get good.
Right.
So we're assuming this person's good. We haven't seen their work.
She thinks her work is good.
Yes, and that's fine. That's great. So assuming the work is good, I'm curious what your thoughts are on that, because have we ever done cold emails to wedding planners? I have tried it. It was a dismal failure.
Yeah, I think I have two.
We did lunch
long
too.
time
Remember
ago.
with like cold lunch with wedding planners that didn't go well.
Yeah. There's. I remember when we were at Engage. I went to one that I don't think you went to. Shoot, I forget who the planner was. But she said she gets cold emails all the time, and she just ignores them. And I thought that was very insightful because that was my experience. And I think that's the experience of a lot of people out there, where sending a cold email, even if you have great work, it just feels very plasticky and like
Desperate.
Yeah, right. Which is like, well, if you do that,
Which is
then,
not true. I don't think that's fair, by the way, but I think that could be the question.
I think, the most success that we've had is reaching out to planners or working with planners by happenstance. Like they're working the same wedding that we are, and we just win them over by the end of the day, and then they hire us for dozens of weddings in the future, right? So that's kind of hard to say. Like work a lot of weddings and catch them as they come is probably the best approach. But like, how would you target certain ones that you really love and want to work with?
I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah.
And my approach is, so I did it today. Someone reached out to me about something that they wanted me to do, and it was not really that appealing to me. But I looked at their work and I looked at possible opportunities, and I said, I'm going to call this person and talk to them. But I'm actually going to talk to them about what I want to talk about and see how that goes. And if I get a bad vibe or whatever, then no skin off either of our back. I don't have a problem with this person, but I want to see if there's a connection, And so, I think the number one thing is that a lot of people, they target people whose weddings they like. And that's important, I guess, but they don't look any deeper a lot of times at I don't know, let's talk about like Marcy Bloom or like Michelle Rago. These are like top tier planners, right? National, well-established, I would say legacy planners in some ways, like not to say you're old guys, you guys do great work and everything, but they've been around, right? They've established themselves in the luxury market. And the thing about those people is, yes, you might like their work and you might actually, like if you got hired, like I personally think if any of those luxury planners hired me and you, they would have a good experience. We would do a good job. They would like it. And so I could easily go like, I've just been sending emails to Michelle Rago and Easton Events and like all these people. I would never do that. And it's like, well, why would I not do that? And that's, I think, the question I'm asking myself with this person is, why would I not do what they did? Now, I don't know who they sent the emails out to, but I'm assuming like there are people that they're kind of shooting for the stars, right? This is what I find a lot of people do. They reach out to people who are really well established. And then they say, hey, you ever heard of wedding filmmaking? I'm one of those. Do you want one of those? And this person's like, have you looked at my feed? I have 6 wedding planners, 6 wedding filmmakers I work with who are all established. They have pretty decent social media followings or great work or some benefit. I trust them, whatever it is. And like, it's not that I have a problem with you. I don't need you. And I had a planner tell me this. They said there comes a certain point in every wedding planner's career where they stop looking for new vendors.
Yes.
And they work with the same stable of vendors they always work with for simplicity's sake, because they're not getting any younger. They're keeping going. We all grow together. And we've seen that ourselves. The wedding planner, once we get in with certain wedding planners, we're in it together. And every once in a while, someone will get in there, right? And usually it's someone like a big national brand, like a wonderful filmmaker, like a Peyton Frank or a Le Rev will work with one of our planners because the client wants to. But like very infrequently is one of our planners referring Le Rev. Because Le Rev is, they don't need it, and they're working with the people they're working with. And I think if you're reaching out to people, I think it's important to look at who they're working with. And is there a need for you? Can you actually add benefit to this person? The people who I have the most success creating a relationship with, which is what this person's talking about, like, are maybe not the people a lot of people would target. I'm looking for big budgets or decent budgets on the weddings, good taste by the planner that would align with me. When I look at the weddings, not the films, look at the photos, look at the videos that they take. And I'm like, okay, I could add value to this. I could do this. And then it's like one of those things where it's like, I love your work. It's so good. And organically getting into their inbox and just making those connections, finding out what events they're a part of. Like, follow that person. They post that they're going to the WIPA event, which if you don't know what that is, what does it even stand for? Wedding
WIPA.
Industry Professional Association. Is that what that is?
I think that is it.
Maybe
Yeah.
I might have made that up.
Yeah.
But you see they're going to WIPA. Go to WIPA.
Yeah.
Go and talk to them. I love your work. That wedding you did with have a personal thing that you say to them about their work. Like
That means a lot to people because it shows that you're paying attention and that you have taste.
the interest is in them and ultimately how
What they
you
brought
can
to the table.
help them.
Yep.
And not, do you want to work with me? Please work with me.
Yeah.
And so like go to people who don't have a ton of great partners who need them, listen to what they're doing, and then add value to them in the form of either telling them that you recognize what they're trying to do or like I think it's okay to even say like, I love your work so much. I would be willing. Let me know if you ever need someone to do like details coverage at your next wedding. I'm happy to do it for free.
Mm-hmm.
If you are going to cold call someone and don't call someone and say, I would love to chat. They don't want to chat.
I'd love to get coffee.
No,
They're like,
they don't want to get
I don't
coffee.
have time. I have
No.
kids. You know?
Tell them-
I don't know you. Like it could be a complete waste of my time. Probably is a complete waste of my time. You know.
Yes. Tell them that you're going to do X for them.
Yep.
And then they're going to like, oh, this is $2,000 in my pocket.
Yeah.
That's great. So it's like, I would say identify people who are rising talent who need you.
Right.
Actually listen to them and pay attention to them and then offer them something of value.
Yeah.
And I think you'll do better off.
I heard an analogy the other day that I kind of liked, and they said you essentially want to date people, like you want to.
I
Act,
had the exact same conversation with the wedding planner the other day.
you want to act like you like this person. And what do? What's the modern way of doing that? You go on Instagram and you comment.
Slide
so
into
pretty.
their DMs eventually.
Then you create a presence on every single post, not to be stalkerish or whatever, but people will notice that. Oh, the same person is stalking my account and they like my stuff. They're commenting. They're giving insight in their comments that are is a little bit more than just 3 hearts next to each other, and then maybe you slide into the DMs. Maybe you see them and you say, "Hey, I'm that person."
I'm not going to give you a easy way to slide into the DMs. Just reply on stories.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say send a certain evocative picture.
No, to reply on stories because that opens up a private conversation between the
Right.
person and it's not weird.
Well,
and it's like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And that person could go blah blah blah. Oh, you were at that place over there. Oh,
yeah.
like start on stories, move into that.
Because at first people are gonna just be polite and they're gonna say, "Oh, thank you," and then over time they might respond. Maybe they give you a follow. It's like not that either of us are familiar with the dating scene, but that's how people interact, and you want to interact the same way. And there's certain people that are
Do
naturally
you ever watch
really
It's
good
Always
at
Sunny
it.
in Philadelphia?
Of course.
Do you remember the Dennis method to getting
no.
women? Don't really extend past step 1 because
Okay.
it gets a little inappropriate. But I do think the first step of the Dennis method is wonderful, which is display your value. It's like showing people that like you have taste, that you understand what's good. I remember having that conversation with the planner at that event, and we just did something with them, and I like her work. I genuinely like her work, and I remember saying, "You're doing this in Boston. No one is doing this in Boston. I see it." Mm-hmm. And she's like, "Oh, that is so
Yeah,
meaningful."
that's something I was gonna say. That's something that you're really great at because it's not just like the generic. Like it was so beautiful. Go beyond that. If you're talking to people, be like, "Hey, I saw that, and it reminded me of this other wedding someone else did."
That's
in
way more
Florida.
expensive than you.
That's way more expensive, but I could tell that was like some of your inspiration, and I love that type of event. Like I wish someone else in the area would do that. Like and then they're like, we should do that together.
Yes.
You're building camaraderie. That's something that you're actually great at with planners. And I've noticed huge success from. So just be intentional, guys. Like, it can be intimidating to go up to people that I think are more experienced than you, that are kind of like these gatekeepers. But just those are the kind of interactions that win.
If you
every
look
single
at
time.
like Emma Kay or Payne Frank, people like who kind of had a meteoric rise, even LaRev,
Yep.
Storybox, I could go down the list, right? People who they know the wedding industry. And I guess the biggest thing I think a lot of people get held back on is when I say to them, like, well, like, what's your market like and who are the people? Like, you don't know the wedding industry.
Right.
You don't know even your local market. Like, forget about national stuff.
Yeah.
Dominate your local market first. And, like, you got to know the luxury. And so it's like, if you don't know the industry, I think that's a lot of it. Is like, the planner's like, do you know who I am?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I don't need you.
Exactly.
So not to be mean, but it's just how it is.
Yep. All right. Next question is from Chris. He says, it seems like a lot of people are talking about a dip in weddings for 2024. I'm definitely seeing a fall off in terms of inquiries and definitely bookings for this year. What would you recommend I do, as I was hoping to take a big leap and go full time this year? Should I lower prices? I thought the bookings would come heavy in January, but now I'm kind of freaking out.
So many people are in that situation.
Yeah. I feel like it's hit or miss, though, in terms of, like, you talk to some people and they're like, no, I'm totally fine. Other people are definitely noticing a big difference. What do you think that is?
I think I commented the other day in a group, but my sense is that a lot of people artificially had their sales boosted because we had double the demand on the market than normal. And a lot of the more established filmmakers with good brands and great films were booked. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people had to go with their second and third option, and not ripping on anyone. But I see, like, a lot of people are like, oh, I thought I finally made it, and now I'm not getting any bookings. And I think it's really about people don't measure. It's that book, 4 Disciplines of Execution, right? Don't measure lag measures. Sales is a lag measure. If you sold 20 weddings last year, that's great. You sold 25 weddings, that's great. That is not an indication of what you're going to sell next year at all. The only indication of what you're going to sell next year is leads. And if you have 25 weddings on 30 inquiries, you're in trouble. You don't have a lead strategy. You're not generating enough leads. And I don't know Chris, but I would assume that he booked a lot for a lot of different reasons. And he should go and evaluate the bookings he got. Where did they come from? All that. Are they reproducible sources? Is it like a family, a bunch of referrals come in a roost? Who knows? But be honest about, did I actually get enough leads? If you're converting over 15% of your leads and you maybe even less, that's not true for everyone. I think you could have a higher conversion rate, like 30%. Mm-hmm. I think you could, like, because
depends where your leads are coming from.
And it depends on how much you're charging.
Yep.
Like if you're doing 20 weddings and you're closing at $7,000, you're closing 30% of your leads. That's a little high, but that's like, what is that, like something like 80, 90, 100 leads? I think 100 leads is decent. Mm-hmm. Like, it's okay. You can get away with like that amount of leads. But I think a lot of people in this situation never had enough leads, and they shouldn't have expected to grow. Mm-hmm. They should have expected to shrink.
Yeah.
Like, every year, what do I always say? Like, how's our leads doing?
Right.
How's our leads doing? And then you're like, oh, good. I'm like, okay, raise prices.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, how's our leads doing? Bad? Oh, why?
Right.
What's going on?
Right.
Like, are we not have enough marketing? Do we not know? Like, that's a whole different question. But I think that's what's happening this year, I think, is like there isn't as much demand.
Yeah.
So people are going to the market leaders first, again, like always.
Exactly.
Because we're not struggling.
I think it's all about hierarchy. Like,
the whole industry's this way. If you don't know this, the whole industry's
exactly
tier-based.
Yep. It's all about hierarchy. So, like, Ray Roman always says it. Are you top 3 in your industry?
He goes, "Are you top dog?
Are you top 3 in your market?" Mm-hmm. That's something we really had to look in the mirror at Vision Quest that first year. We're like, are we? How do we get there?
And it's not that are you actually, it's do people think you are?
Right. Because are you the first call? I think is another way to look at it. Are you the first call that people are making? Because if you are, then they're booking, and a lot of times they're going to say, oh, my first choice is booked, my second choice is booked, my third choice was available.
Yeah, is any bride bragging about booking you?
Right. Yeah, which happens. It does. I think that, and these brides talk, dude. Like, they'll be like, oh, my videographer was great. We booked them this summer. See if they're available. We'll get people, oh, I'm hoping you're available. Please tell me you're available.
I got to tell you a story about this, actually.
Okay.
So, were you there when my mom told that story about...
Yes.
We had a client. My family has a store in Boston,
This is funny.
and a client walked in and they didn't know. Maybe they found out that we were related. I think like someone told, "Oh, that's my son."
Yeah.
But this client was with their friend, and they were. Or no, she was talking. She goes, "Oh yeah, my friend wanted to book them, and I told him like, yeah, they're way too busy. You're probably not gonna be able to get them. They're the best. They're so amazing."
She was
Like,
asking who we were.
yes,
And she was like, no, not even worth reaching out. They're so busy.
yeah, the ex-client is like telling her friend this. Like I had another planner. I shot this wedding, and she was like, "Oh my God, I'm so privileged to be able to work with you. You work with all the planners I like."
Yeah.
Like that's how it works.
Yes.
Is like the fact that I work with a bunch of certain planners is why the other planner wants to work with me. And like it's a growing thing. And I know it's not always fair to people because it's not that our work is so much better than every other person, although I think it's very good.
Right.
But if you don't understand how the industry actually works, you're going to be always confused. Like, why is no one booking? My work is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it really, like
I'm
you
not
said,
giving good answers to people, by the way. I don't know how to fix it.
No. Well, I think just being honest about where we are, like the honest truth is there are just less bookings this year. So
Yes, that's true.
If you're struggling, you know, you most likely have had a business for a couple of years. You went through the big wave of 2021, 2022. You think you're on top. You raise your prices, and it just turned out that you're maybe like not first choice, which is something like that's a hard truth to hear, but it should motivate you. Like that stuff motivates me. I'm like, I'm gonna kill people. Like I'm gonna like. I shouldn't say that on a podcast. I'm gonna go out and destroy the industry. Like I'm gonna
win.
Rage. Yeah, I'm gonna win. And hopefully that's a little bit of a kick in the butt. It's just a honest truth of where we are in the industry. And so I would say stick with it. I would say maybe if you know you're looking to go full time this year, maybe hold off because I think 2025 is going to be a really great
2025 I
year.
think will be a good year. 2024
wave.
I've heard is a absolute bloodbath.
Yeah.
And I've heard from like typically we think like planners are all doing awesome.
Yeah.
And we're struggling.
Yeah.
That's not true. Like a
I
lot
hear
of
from planners. I talked to a venue
Venues.
last week. Some people are like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Other people are like, dude, we're booking 2026 right now. Like we're maxed out this year, maxed out next year already. So it's like, it is an industry-wide thing, you know?
everyone should strive to be a market leader.
Yeah.
And I think like it's about stability. It's not ego.
Yeah.
It's about like knowing that your bread is going to get buttered every year.
Right.
Is important. And I think so many people think it's about the filmmaking and it's really about running a good business and all this junk. And at the end of the day, I think you're right. It is a hard truth, but there are solutions to it.
Yep.
And they're going to be different based on your market. Like if you want me to answer, like go ahead. We have consults. I'm glad to do a branding audit with you, sit down, talk about it and look at, I don't know, St. Louis.
Yep.
But like, at the end of the day, you got to be a market leader.
Yeah. You know, I think to answer the question too about should I lower prices? I mean, maybe, especially if you're not going to be going full time. Like,
Well, wouldn't that be like if he's getting inquiries and they're all saying no?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, lower prices.
yeah, the most important thing this year for you is that you are as booked as you can be because all those bookings this year are going to turn into referrals for next year. So you should be doing everything in your power to just, you know,
Every year you're not fully booked, you've lost part of your referral base.
Yep.
Someone else has worked with the planner you want to work with. Like, again, I always try to think like, don't just look at the money you're losing by not charging a certain amount. Think about the money you're losing by not just being the guy that they chose,
Yeah.
the guy or the girl.
and maybe don't like lower prices, but run a sale or something. Like do something like that. I would say. I would ask that
wouldn't
person,
they
have you tried
know
something
what the
like that?
problem is though? Like if if everyone who's reaching out to you can't afford you, you have two problems. One, you're not reaching the right audience.
Or they're just competing with other people that are maybe better, or
Yeah, I
I don't
guess
want to
it-
say like they're better than
Again,
Chris.
I'm
but,
always
like,
assuming that this person's the best option, just for purposes of this
okay,
conversation.
right on.
They're always like, you're the best option, and the only difference is price or networking or some issue.
Yeah.
Like, yes, if your work is not as good as this other person, then make better work. But that's the simple answer. But assuming it's all things are equal, if everyone's saying no because of price, yeah, maybe you have to lower prices. And also, you can walk and chew gum. You can try to position your brand better so that the next year when the brides are calling you, you're getting people, or grooms, I guess, but when the couples are calling you, you are getting couples with better budgets. But you can't, that is not a problem you can fix quickly. And I think that's the number one thing people need to realize. If the wrong person's calling you, that takes a long time to fix. So you get paid in the meantime and strategically get the right clients. But don't try to do both at the exact same time because you'll just kill your business.
Yep. Okay, I think we have
Last question.
Last question. This is from KCB. It says, hey guys, longtime listener. I love the Wedding Film School show and was sorry to hear about it stopping, hopefully only for a short time. Do you have any more information about content that you'll be putting out? I know you mentioned Jason will be doing a different podcast. I'm a podcast junkie. Excited for anything new you guys decide to do.
Yes. So I'm doing a show right now called the Wedding Creatives Podcast with Benj Heish. And, like the core of that show is like, we're both passionate about image making and the wedding industry. And we wanted to provide a perspective that was optimistic and was like full on, like, we don't want to be the educators who are like, oh, I can't wait till I can stop doing weddings.
Or I can do real work, commercial
it's
work.
Like, I think it's so crazy how many people will listen to an educator on a subject that the educator like looks down on you for doing. They're like, that guy's still doing weddings. I'm an educator. It's like, why would you want to listen to that person? Like, and if they were so successful, like they would be making enough money shooting weddings that they would not need to make money on education.
Right.
So I don't need to make money on this. We're doing this because we generally love helping people and we generally love the industry. And Benj is an educator, but he's hip and cool, but he's a wedding guy. Yeah. Through and through. So we want to do that. And of course we want to talk about cameras and on some level, like we were like, let's do one where like team wedding, where it's like, we could give that, like, we're going to talk about like the different perspectives that photo and video people have on like a portrait session and what annoys us about photographers and what annoys them. And like, we just want to, let's create a little unity in the industry, bring people together, because I've found getting into that wedding filmmaker little bubble, I don't really like it. Like I like camera people, not wedding filmmakers and photographers. I just get more out of that. Like I like working with photographers. I like talking to photographers. Like I don't view them as that different when it comes to the wedding itself. When we're working with this person, I'm not like, look at this idiot. They don't even know how to set up a light. You're like collaborating. And so we wanted to do one where we could show that perspective, because I think it's also something that really holds a lot of people back. They have the wrong perspective. They don't know how to work with people. So I think it'd be interesting. On the channel, we got 3 BTSs that are being edited right now. So we're going to keep doing BTSs. We are launching a new channel called Wedding Film 101, which is going to be more targeted at new filmmakers who are just looking for getting started tips. And I don't know how that's going to go. That could totally bomb. But please go like and subscribe. Please. But in general, it's like, I don't really know. Like, we're definitely doing in-person event in Clarity. And you might have already had it when you listen to this, but Clarity in February. And like, I think just like getting people together and connecting around like people who are serious about the wedding industry. And again, like this isn't shade to other educators, because I think everyone has a different role in the industry and they're working with different people. The people we're most interested in, and it took us time to realize this, is, are you serious about the wedding industry? Are you willing to put your ego aside, be focused on making good films, but also focused on making money? And like, are you really psyched about this? If you're just like, I don't want to work in those stupid weddings that are making tons of money that are happening all the time. I only want to work in these 10 weddings that happened in this one secret place that don't make that much money, but the couples are hot and it looks cool on Instagram. We're not your people. We're not your people. We're not going to do a bunch of styled shoots with you. We're not going to do that stuff.
We're not that pretty.
No. We're interested in, like, we're serious wedding professionals. And we're never going to change that. We're not going to become influencers. And so we're trying to think of a way to do that in an authentic way. And I think that's the struggle, is like, I'm open. I'm all ears. Like, whatever you want out of us, if you're listening to this, tell us what you want. And like, make sure you're willing to pay for it. It's like, I'm serious, because it's like, I can't do things for free.
Yeah.
Like that much, a little bit. But it's like, if you really want us to do it with our whole heart and passion and give the maximum value, mentorships, we don't have a plan to do a course right now, Jared. Mm-hmm. But if you want a course, you better ask for it.
Not after all the smack I've talked about them over the months and years.
But that's kind of like, I don't know what your answer to that is.
I think one thing that I've always really loved that we've done at Wedding Film School is live events. Doing the Wedding Film Speakeasy in Vegas for a couple years straight, getting wedding filmmakers together to hang out and learn and grow. I mean, that's where we've met a lot of great people. Jordan and Alex and all the people that used to go to WPPI, and it was just a really great experience. Now that kind of chapter is over and just WPPI not really helping with that wedding filmmakers, we're kind of like, well, how can we bring that same kind of energy and just, community together in a way that celebrates wedding filmmakers? Like, that stuff was really fun. And so I can see us doing similar things like that in different cities, similar to what Emerge Collective is for wedding filmmakers. Like, let's get together, let's hang out. We were just hanging out in Florida with wedding filmmakers.
Well, here, let's do this then, Jared. Let's put it out there. What city should we do a speakeasy at?
New York.
Well, if
too close to us.
I'm going to do the city that people actually are going to listen to the show and answer me.
Sure.
I agree we should do New York. If you're listening to this, how about this? Head over to the Wedding Film School Show on Instagram, DM us and say, like, hey, come to Denver, come to Los Angeles. And we will make a decision on, we throw these little parties for wedding filmmakers. We give away a bunch of free stuff.
Last time we sponsored,
we gave away an Aperture 60X.
No, how many? We gave away like 6 Aperture 60Xs.
Yeah, I think we gave away like $6,000 worth of stuff.
Yep.
And, had live jazz and drinks and all this great time. It was awesome. And we love doing that kind of stuff. And so if you're interested in that, go over to our Instagram. If you don't follow it, and then DM us and say, hey, come to this and put on a speakeasy. Or fine, you might say, no, I don't want that. I'll come to this city and do a team building workshop or whatever it is. We're all ears. We're going to go where people want us to go.
Yep. Yeah, so I'd like to do some of those events. Obviously, Clarity is kind of our first foray into like an actual like workshop / retreat, more retreat. So we'll probably do some more of those in the future. Just a lot of in-person stuff is really great. I think a lot of YouTube stuff is going to stay pretty much the same. People really value the behind the scenes that we do on actual wedding day. So we'll probably do quite a bit of that this year.
We have actually a lot of equipment stuff coming up.
A lot of equipment stuff, a lot of Wedding Film School 101 that's coming out as well. And so if people want to subscribe there, Jay, because this is fairly new even to us, where can they go? Where can they
So it's not going to be live, I think, till the first month of March.
Okay. The first month of March?
The first month of the first week of the first. Sometime in the first week of March.
Okay.
It'll be live. Beginning of March, maybe second week, but depending on, we want to have like 6 or 7.
We'll do a big launch kind of thing.
Yeah. But we'll announce it. And we'll announce it on, again, the Instagram. The Instagram is really the best way to like know what's going on a little bit, or the Facebook group.
Yep.
I mean, we're all ears. Like the number one thing is like, what do you want? That's our entire, like, that is what we want to be doing.
Yeah.
As educators and as parts of the industry is like, I don't want to scratch an itch that's not itching.
Yeah.
Like if you...
It's a waste of our time and it's a waste of your time.
Yeah, so, it's like if you... Like, I don't want to try to reproduce what, like, How to Film Weddings are doing or Level Up or any of the people who are doing workshops and things like that. Like, just because they're doing something doesn't mean we should be doing something. And you might already be like, well, I don't need you to do that. I went to that and that was good and that did what I needed. So we're just trying to figure out, well, what do you want me to do? Mm-hmm. Like, you got this person to do this for you. And so let us know. Yep. I love the question, and I really appreciate that you like our show. It means a lot to me. Yep. One of the things that I've learned over the time is, like, as we've been like, I don't want to do this, people are like, please do it. I've had a lot of people reach out, and that does mean a lot to me. It's definitely motivating. I'm just a human being. On an emotional level, I like it. But on a personal, like, business level, I'm like, oh, it's really, really hard in podcasting, guys, to know if what you're doing is doing anything. The analytics are weird. it's just really hard. And so like
We work in a super niche market, which is like the people that listen are like super loyal and like dedicated to the show. But it's a small crowd, right? So it's like hard to
relative
tell, like,
podcasting.
are
yeah.
we doing well? Like, are we, how are we doing compared to other people? It is difficult. Yeah.
Are we meeting a need? Is anyone happy with this?
Yeah.
So yeah, just let us know. Reach out on Instagram, and we're all ears.
Okay, so that's a good place to stop. Again, guys, if you want your own question to be answered, make sure you go to weddingfilm.school/AMA, and we will likely, if we have the time on the show, answer your question. So thank you so much, guys, for listening to the Wedding Film School Show AMA. We'll see you next time right here on Wedding Film School.